Greetings, I'm Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, and today's video is on thinking back on the various game stores I visited. Some here in my town, Pueblo, some in Colorado Springs, not too far away, and some from Port Angeles, Washington, because I was living there for a few months. I will do my best with remembering the layouts and some other details. Alternate Universe here in Pueblo was the first game store I ever really got to go to. That was like dedicated hobby gaming stuff. Um, we had like the entrance and the storefront and all that, but then there's this huge back area of like multiple rooms for playing games and storing stuff. There's a little arcade as well, and uh, I used to like store my stuff there sometimes, but it I wasn't there from the beginning, but I remember hearing about it. First having three people, then dropping down to two, and then dropping down to one. And then it was in about 2009 that the owner uh, wound up closing the store, and is one of our other gamers who decided to take up the challenge of opening up a new game store in that time frame, and I'll go over that one when we get to it. But here's when I like really got into games like Magic and possibly Pokemon. I'm not entirely sure if I got a whole lot of Pokemon here, but I did also get into Dragon Ball Z, the card game. That game was a lot of fun. But I wound up leaving this place when they went over to another game store. And then there was the Dragon's Den. It did not last very long, but it went for a decent amount of time, I think. Its first location was on 29th Street before it moved to the Hill location, and then moved back from the Hill location to 29th Street before it closed. And now there's just like a liquor store there now, or something, or car rental place. I forget what. When I was here the first time, the bathroom was like at the end of this hallway, and then when they came back, it was revamped to have a smaller bathroom that didn't take so long to walk to, but there's more floor space. But yeah, I followed the DBZ players from Alternate Universe to Dragon's Den, and then this is where I got into games like Warhammer 40k, although it wasn't until they moved to the Hill location. I think I was still playing like Mage Knight and just starting to get into Mech Warrior Dark Age, and thankfully there are people here playing that. Uh, this was also around the time that I started borrowing some anime, because I had like some anime rentals, and also a card game called Dot Hack Enemy, the very first tournament that they had for that game. They had at this store. Probably had elsewhere as well, but I remember winning the T-shirt, and I kind of wish I still had it, but it just wore out. For about a year, the Dragon's Den was at what I call the Hill location. Bigger play space, but it was just further away to get to. I'd have to get a ride from my mom, or I'd have to catch the bus. And yeah, I'd have to be sure to get off at one of two stops, or I would miss it completely. But anyway, this is where I really got into 40k, and really got into BattleTech, because our main BattleTech guy was like looking at MechWarrior Dark Age. It's like, what the hell is this game? Come play the original, you know. And this is also where I rented Evangelion for the first time in like what 2004 or 2005, and watched through that. And yeah, there's that and Trigon as well. Yeah, it was it was a nice place. It was also where we had like the buffer weapons, like little foam covered swords and axes and shields, and we just fuck around beating the crap out of each other because that's what we do when we're bored sometimes. But yeah, there's a lot of fond memories of 40K at that location. That and when I went when we went back to Alternate Universe after the Dragon's Den closed. But yeah, it's just um, losing visibility for the sake of space is it's always a risk. I very rarely visited this place, the Otaku Gamer. Um, it was a place that dealt with anime and games. It's where I got um, one of the newer Legend of the Five Rings when they were trying to revamp their system before the LCG time. That's where I got my Phoenix deck. Phoenix or Dragon? It's been too long. But anyway, yeah, they had anime and games. They had a play area, but I never really went back there to look. I rarely saw anyone there. Uh, I'm not sure what's safe to say and what's not safe to say, so I'm just going to leave it at the fact that there was an ill reputation surrounding this place. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I didn't really make use of this place too much. Chaos Games and More in Pueblo, Colorado. So as our main BattleTech guy and also one of our main board gamers that opened up this store as Alternate Universe was clearly on the verge of collapse. And thank goodness he did, because it pretty much saved hobby gaming here in Pueblo for a very long time. The first location was downtown, across from a local newspaper. Um, at first, there's just a like hallway of a store with a door to close it off and leave a gaming area open for players to get in and out of. The only problem was it didn't have an indoor bathroom. Thank freaking goodness they got the section next door, which did have an indoor bathroom. Because otherwise, we are having to go around and outside to this outdoor access only bathroom. That's just kind of there, and yeah, it was a pain in the butt, especially when it was like raining. That's probably where I did a lot of really getting back into Magic. Um, I missed the nights of the cube draft, of just playing with the most random assortment of Magic cards ever. Just commons, uncommons, rares from all over the years. And I probably did a lot of 40K as well, and also board games. It's also where I would also bring my computer, my laptop, and do a little bit of gaming. Uh, the moment that I realized, oh crap, my computer's not good enough to run Cataclysm for World of Warcraft, was here. But yeah, it was a start, and they closed the location in like 2013 and moved elsewhere. And the elsewhere is probably one of my favorite locations because it's within walking distance of where I live now. Unfortunately, I'll tell you when we get there. Their second location was on a frontage road up here over in my neighborhood. And that visibility did so much to get people to check it out and come in and see, it's a hobby game store. And for some people to realize, oh wait, this isn't video games, what? But it was a nice place that we got the storefront up top. We've got the playing area downstairs, which could be and the storefront doors could be shut, and there's ways to get out from the basement. Um, just taking the stairs back up, and that's where I played a lot of 40K, a lot of board games, and it's also where I got into Warhammer Fantasy for like the first real time, and got into ogres, and I miss my ogres. I think I tried them out once when I was at AU, and then never played them, and then I was selling them off. But this time I actually got to play them. I miss my big guys. Iron Cuts. Yeah, fun times. Yeah, this is just a nice little location. I'd go there, when I was, um, off work and just not really feeling too good, and just walk down there and hang out and talk to people and just feel better. That's what I miss, is having a place I can go hang out with that's in walking distance and doesn't require me to catch a bus or a ride or anything. Yeah. Unfortunately, shit happens, and they lost this location. And had to move out in kind of a hurry in late 2021, and they are currently at their new location, which I'll cover next. So their current location is currently off a main road, but it's not visible unless you actually really go down it. It's a good sized storefront, decent sized playing areas, and they still have the lockers. It's one of the nice things that Chaos has had over the years has been storage lockers for renting and keeping your stuff there. I've made a point to keep my stuff at home for personal reasons, but I do appreciate the convenience, when I need it. But yeah, it used to be like a bar or some kind of club where people come in and do stuff, and then they remodeled it for the game store. I think they still have some remnant decor from what it used to be, but it's nice for what it is, and what it is a game store where you can still play. I miss like I think the one thing I liked having at what was it, AU, was the room that we could set up a game. If we needed to, we could lock the door and come back to it later as an option, or just generally keep the door shut and keep things mostly quiet outside. There's no option for that here. Yeah. It's the place where you will find me on Tuesdays. Yeah, I am probably doxing myself. I don't give a fuck right now. You will find me on Tuesdays. Let's play some freaking board games. Damn it. The newest game store in Pueblo is Game Night Games. They opened towards the end of 2021, and they've been my main source of card sleeves. At first, the store was just a section on the right, and it looks, it's nice, it's neat, it's organized. It looks good. And then they open up the area on the left to expand, playing space, which is good. Thing is, I haven't really done a whole lot of playing games there. I've tried bringing my Hololive Vice Force cards to no avail. I know they wanted to bring Flesh and Blood, get Flesh and Blood going again, and I couldn't make it on the one day, and then I don't know. I get these little bits of lethargy and apathy and shit, and just miss out on things. But I don't know. It's all right. It's there as an option. And if there's one thing that I think is really important with game stores, it's having options. Okay, out of town time with Gamers Haven up in Colorado Springs. Um, they're probably still open, probably. I know last I checked they wanted to move. I'm not sure if they've gotten around to doing so. But yeah, I first went there back in the AU days and for a 40K tourney. I had my orcs at the time. I missed my big green bastards, but that was nice. And I do sometimes still visit for like RPGs and dice. I've got a bunch of the Kaplow dice, and that's probably where a good portion of the dice in my collection were coming from. And I still like to come there and look around. It's a nice, organized place. It's, it reminds me of a it reminds me of a slightly extended version of Dragon's Den. Sort of between the first location and the second location in terms of space and storefront. Yeah, um, it's just a nice place. And then we go out of state with Dragon Rail in Port Angeles, Washington. Status unknown because I've not kept up with them. Uh, if they are closed, I would not be surprised. It was closest to where I lived with my dad, but it had a tendency to close at like what 5, 6. They didn't like staying open late, and to some extent, I can't really blame them. But I did get to play at least one game of Splendor with someone there. It's also why I picked up, Rifts and Ikusa and possibly Eclipse. I'm trying to remember if I got Eclipse from there or the other store. But it's just it's an alright little place. Um, I just it's one of the places that I first followed on Facebook when I was getting. I think I got on Facebook in like late 2015, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna follow this place and say, hey, try to reach out to people, say, hey, I'm gonna be down here to try to run games around this time, and it never paid off. The other game store in Port Angeles was, or might still be, Anime Cat. Um, Status unknown, but I would hope that they're still open. They have massive selection of anime and manga and just a tiny bit of board games, and then they sold Magic cards as well. They had a decent little playing space for miniatures games or board games. I got to play in a board game night of this auction game of having cubes, and you had like a certain amount of time to put cubes into cups, and then you'd have to have the most in there to win the item. But that's like the cubes were like your money, so you might have a position where you'd have to sell items to get money back just for more auctions. It was a nice place. I went to the costume party there for Halloween. It was nice. It was and they were very cool about because I was coming back to Pueblo and I needed some extra money, and I was able to sell some anime that I had at the time, some animated DVDs, and get cash for that, and that helped me so much. So I'm kind of grateful for that moment. But yeah, I very sincerely hope they're still around. Okay, now for some honorary mentions. I've never played a board game at Barnes& and Noble, but they've been a source of board games for me over the years. So they get the mention here because I'm glad they have their selection of board games. Target as well has been a source of some games. Most importantly, Minecraft Builders and Biomes is a very nice little game, and I recommend that one big time. Good luck finding a copy. Um, Going to game conventions over the years, just the dealer rooms and auction nights and just playing games there has been it's been great to have those experiences, and just especially the auction nights, because you never know what you can find, and especially find for cheap. I found a very good copy of Frag one time. I also got like a set of Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex DVDs. It was a weird thing to find in an auction, but I'm glad I got it. It's also, however, I think I've brought this point up before, but I'll bring it up again. If you're going to sell something at an auction, please make it clear what you've got there, because labeling something bucket of orcs is probably not going to get a whole lot of high bids, because no one knows what the hell's in there besides just orcs. What kind of orcs, I think there's been one place I visited once that focused on selling cards. I don't remember it too clearly. And then there was the time that I visited my sister out of state when she was like training in the Navy, and there was this Games Workshop store, and that was my first experience with 40K. Was way the hell back then, and yeah, I don't know what the hell I would be doing for my social life without game stores, and I'm massively grateful for their existence. If I was ever going to run one of my own, I'd probably have it something along the lines of, the Anime Cat, Otaku Gamer mix of games and anime, manga type stuff. But I'd probably try to keep it more balanced, because trying to focus on one or the other it's not going to work out. Yeah, thank you very much for listening. I will see you with another video in the future. This has been Pillar Nexus. Goodbye.